Please help me welcome Polly Superstar right up here.
Thank you. To clarify, I do live in Vegas. Can artists save the world from a sexual dystopia? Break through this fear? You could call it a phobia. Let's define it. The concept of sexual dystopia, rooted in literature. People in power see sex as a danger, imagined worlds set in our future. Diabolical methods put into place keep sex and pleasure in check with a measure. Morale is crushed with injustice and suffering, haunting our minds. The worst of mankind, the terror, the horror to be faced with a world so cruelly designed. But the thing about sexual dystopia, these stories aren't of what happens next. They're things that have already happened right here in this world that's so anti-sex. The Handmaid's Tale. We all know this one. Margaret Atwood, the author, was clear. A cautionary tale, all the ways that we can fail, from our past and our present, the terrible truth of the ways women are already subject to abuse. The classic book by Orwell, 1984, Meaningful Sex as Rebellion Against the State. Where does this story come from? It was inspired by a Russian called Zamyatin, his book, relatively obscure. The culture it portrays that we see as cruel reflects the angst of living under early communist rule. One of my favorites, Octavia Butler, her trilogy, Lilith's Brood, a complex, emotional, cultural journey, climate catastrophe, what's left of humanity seized by seemingly well-meaning, gender non-binary, polyamorous aliens set on impregnating humanity. We're cured of disease, but they don't comprehend what it means to be free. Is this really about aliens? Our future? Perhaps, but this story is built from a map. Cultural destruction, colonization, sexual slavery. These are sadly not new, what we've put people through, what we know to be true. One could argue Revelations, Whore of Babylon and her adulterations, is the ultimate sexual dystopia designed to push God-fearing Christians to some kind of classic design of utopia. But this cultural obsession we have right now is a relatively recent phenomenon. The last 100 years have set the bar. We've become fixated with dystopia and how fucked up we are. We used to make art about good times. The carrot to dystopia's stick. Imagining worlds where everything's great and we've figured out all of our shit. But let's face it, nobody's buying that story. Nobody's that naive. Heaven is designed to deceive. When totalitarian regimes take hold, the first thing they do is burn books. There's a reason for this. One that they won't admit. The word that is writ has power, makes them cower. Artists and writers, we play a role. Our culture isn't on cruise control. This isn't about politics, convincing, persuasion. Artists use the tool of imagination. The mirror we hold to the world as we see it gives the people the option to choose it, to be it. What if we told the stories to speak to the world of the truth of the place we inhabit? Yes, there are hard times, but what about joy? lifestyles, expressions, and orientations, morality freed from old-fashioned foundations, accepting ourselves to find liberation. The path out of this sexual dystopia that we've been in for thousands of years is going to require some artists and writers to take the wheel and steer. With the power to transcend, to connect, and to mend, the complex truth of our non-binary reality dissolves the patriarchy. This is not gender confusion. This is evolution. Look, I'm not saying the future is perfect and everything's going to be fine. This may be what it looks like when we reach the end of time. A Mad Max hellscape. Violence with no escape. Fires we can't extinguish. Truths we can't distinguish. Hurricanes. Zombies coming to eat our brains. There is no single answer that will solve this conundrum. There are thousands of answers, at least. And our job as artists and writers is to dig deep, express, and unleash. Instead of dystopia, I choose a new story. I call it apocalyptimism. Not the naive hope of utopian glory. Yes, we are fucked. The situation is dire, but we can't despair as we watch it transpire. Let's make art from this collapsing civilization. Rewrite the narrative, undercut the foundation, because the reason we can see how fucked up this is because of the mirror we've been given by artists.